Is China recovering from the coronavirus? China does even more mass surveillance. And what happens when anime goes wrong? That and more on this week's China News Headlines. This is China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. So, the Chinese Communist Party has been saying for a while now that it no longer has a coronavirus problem. China still has a CCP virus problem, though. But we've now seen a clear sign that the Chinese leadership thinks they've got the coronavirus under control. The party announced it will hold the 2 sessions, the biggest political meeting of the year, in late May. That's big. The meetings were originally set for March, but the Communist Party postponed them because they didn't want top officials getting the coronavirus. In fact, according to a leaked internal memo, the whole reason for the coronavirus cover-up was because social stability were key priorities during the long lead-up to China's 2 biggest political meetings of the year in March. So, the CCP covered up the coronavirus so they could hold the meetings, and then their cover-up caused them not to be able to hold the meetings. This is called maintaining stability with Chinese characteristics. But on the plus side, schools in China are reopening. And kids are turning up with social distancing hats. Aren't they cute? They're actually in the style of Song Dynasty hats. I can't wait to see that on the New York subway. But it is New York, so no one will bat an eye. The Communist Party has been ramping up surveillance in China. Dissident artist Ai Weiwei says the coronavirus has only strengthened China's police state. And that includes installing surveillance cameras outside people's front doors, and in some cases, even inside their homes. So how many cameras are there inside China? Well, according to this report, as of 2018, China already had close to 350 million surveillance cameras. And remember, they've been installing a lot more since the coronavirus outbreak. So there's a lot of cameras in China. The good news is, they're made in China. In the past, being under virtual house arrest was only experienced by Chinese dissidents. But thanks to the coronavirus lockdown, everyone in China has gotten to experience the pleasure of worrying about everything they say and do inside their own house, while also locked in their house. I like to call it the 1984 staycation. But in tough times, heroes will emerge. Like this guy, who was so furious about being under surveillance that after his quarantine ended, he took out a hammer and smashed the device in front of the community workers. Truly an act of courage. But even if you smash the cameras, you're still being watched on the internet. The Communist Party is trying to scrub out the online history of the coronavirus outbreak. And that's why Chinese internet users trying to preserve information about the pandemic that was censored online have been arrested. Reminds me of Dr. Li Wenliang. He tried to sound the alarm about the coronavirus way back in December, but authorities detained him for spreading rumors. He later died of the coronavirus. But now, he's being honored with a medal from the Chinese Communist Party Youth League. Yeah, they're attempting to turn him into a martyr for the Communist Party. See, he stood up to local police who were very bad, and it was local officials who blocked the information from getting to the core of the Communist Party that loves the people very much and would never cover up the virus. I mean, except that they did. But the Communist Party's attempts to rewrite history are facing some challenges. Namely, the rest of the world has a memory slightly longer than a goldfish. President Trump is talking about holding China accountable.
Well, Charlie, there are a lot of ways you can hold them accountable. We're doing very serious investigations, as you probably know, and we are not happy with China.
And so, Chinese officials are talking about holding the U.S. accountable. You know, for all the time the U.S. wasted when the Chinese Communist Party was covering up the virus. Meanwhile, the Chinese regime is threatening economic consequences if Australia follows through with an investigation into the origin of the coronavirus. Truly the actions of a perfectly innocent party. But the Chinese regime believes it can bully Australia into not doing that investigation. Except now, other countries are joining Team Australia, like Sweden, which plans to ask the EU to look into the origins of the coronavirus. That's after China has slowly ruined its relationship with Sweden by bullying. And now the UK is also joining in on calls for an investigation into China's role in the coronavirus outbreak. And in a totally unrelated story, British doctors are warning that ventilators the UK bought from China could kill patients. Yeah, I think there's going to be an investigation. So the world is pretty tired of the Chinese regime's nonsense. And now the US is imposing new export rules to keep sensitive technology out of the hands of the Chinese military. The new rules will require licenses for US companies to sell certain items to companies in China that support the military, even if the products are for civilian use. They also do away with a civilian exception that allows certain US technology to be exported without a license. The real question is, why did it take a deadly pandemic for the US government to figure out that giving this technology to the Chinese regime was a bad idea? Speaking of the military, US Senator Ted Cruz is also pushing a bill that would block the Pentagon from working with Hollywood film studios that edit or alter their movies on behalf of Chinese censors. The bill is called the Stopping Censorship, Restoring Integrity, Protecting Talkies Act. Protecting talkies, because Ted Cruz is a time traveler from 1929. Cruz is also criticizing the World Health Organization and YouTube. He tweeted, "The WHO shamelessly broadcasts Chinese communist propaganda, and now YouTube is saying it will censor anything contrary to the WHO. The CCP shouldn't be running Silicon Valley or trampling free speech in America." And I just want to say, Ted Cruz, back off. I love YouTube. Please don't demonetize this episode. U.S. Senator Tom Cotton has been one of the loudest voices calling for an investigation into a Chinese lab in Wuhan to look into whether it may have been the source for the coronavirus. He's now also saying the U.S. should deny visas for Chinese students to study science in the U.S. Now that sounds really racist, but there's a reason behind the idea. U.S. law enforcement agencies have investigated numerous instances of intellectual property theft by Chinese nationals, generally in science and technology fields. Some of those suspected of theft have obtained Chinese patents for work owned and funded by the U.S., while others have duplicated U.S. research in secret labs in China. So there's a reason for it. It just sounds really, really racist. Though he's only talking about students from mainland China, not ethnically Chinese people from other countries like Taiwan. But I don't think it's going to happen. What does need to happen is a serious look at how American universities have become dependent on Chinese money. Taiwanese health officials are thanking the U.S. for pushing for Taiwan's entry into the World Health Organization. Taiwan has by far done a better job with the coronavirus than any other country. There's only about 400 confirmed cases and 6 deaths there. But at the behest of China, the World Health Organization has kept Taiwan locked out. Have fun stewing on that while you're in lockdown. Joining the ever-growing list of people who want to sue the CCP, Nigerians. Nigerian lawyers are seeking $200 billion in damages for the coronavirus. And it sure isn't helping that Nigerians inside China are being blamed for the coronavirus and kicked out of their homes.
Nigerians in China are suffering. They are suffering well. Nigerians in China. Child, it's a pity. Nigeria in China is suffering. It's a pity. Oh my God.
Starting next month, China is rolling out a new state-run digital currency, because what the Communist Party really needed was more control over people. Chinese state-run media reports that some American companies will be part of the experiment, including McDonald's. I'm loving it, because I have no choice. Really, the Communist Party knows the way to people's hearts. And for the kids, it's anime. Bilibili is an incredibly popular Chinese video sharing website. It's mostly for sharing anime clips and video game tutorials. But the Communist Youth League and other groups have been flooding Bilibili with coronavirus-related conspiracy theories and fanning anti-American sentiment. The Youth League, the party's branch for younger members, is among the site's top 7 creators with about 6 million followers. Another fun example, this anime series about Karl Marx.
我要用它，在追求真理的道路上披荆斩棘。卡尔，你个疯子！
It was co-produced exclusively for Bilibili by several state institutions. Communist anime. Shinji, get in the robot and fight the US. Next, I'll answer a question from a member of the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army. Since YouTube has been demonetizing a lot of our videos, the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army has stepped up. They're viewers like you who help us keep up the fight of truthful, uncensored information by supporting China Uncensored through the crowdfunding website Patreon. So, today's question comes from Joe Rui. I have friends in China that yearn to openly discuss serious topics. We don't dare do so on WeChat for obvious reasons. Some are even afraid of VPN use these days. What technologies are considered the most safe at this time? Unfortunately, I can't recommend much. People have been jailed for sending texts in China. More secure messaging apps like Telegram and Signal are often only available over VPN, and the VPNs aren't much better. People have been fined for using them to access overseas websites, and arrested for running VPNs. Even Chinese people abroad need to be careful. Recently, a Chinese student at University of Minnesota was arrested for tweeting this. It's the villain from an old cartoon show called Biker Mice from Mars. You notice the bad guy looked a little like Xi Jinping. Now, to be clear, he tweeted this in America, but when he went back to China, he got arrested for it. And this is how the Chinese Communist Party does it. They make it so Chinese people can't even safely talk to one another. Even if you have a great VPN, but somehow your name is identifiable, you're not safe. You can't have an open conversation online anymore because Big Brother is watching you. Thanks for your question, Joe. If you'd like to hear your question answered on the show, join the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army over at patreon.com/China Uncensored. Now, if you like hearing about all the ways China is affecting you, you're probably subscribed to China Uncensored. But did you know YouTube has been secretly unsubscribing people? They're also not sending out notifications to everyone about new episodes. So make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, and share our episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.